Shop Macy's VIP sale, going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends from designers that rarely go on sale. And save 15% off skincare, makeup, fragrances, and more. Plus, shop fall specials for even more great deals on top brands at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This time of year, as you're visiting your local grocery store or maybe swinging by the bookstore, you'll see a familiar publication, the Old Farmer's Almanac. Joining us on the PNW Ag Network hotline to talk about the Almanac and what we can expect from Mother Nature this winter is Tim Goodwin, assistant editor at the Old Farmer's Almanac. And thank you, Tim, for the time. Let's start by talking about what the Old Farmer's Almanac is and maybe what it's not.
Yeah, so, I mean, one thing that is very important to know is that we are the oldest continuously published periodical in North America. This is our 233rd straight year of printing the Old Farmer's Almanac. Never missed a year because of war or just about anything. It's that iconic yellow cover that you, like you said, you probably saw growing up. I remember seeing it. My mom would have it. My aunt would have it in this little, magazine stand next to her chair. So, it's something that resonates with people from their childhood. I think what the Almanac is, it's many different things to many different people. We strive to be what Robert B. Thomas, our founder, stated, early on in the Almanac, useful with a pleasant degree of humor. We want to be a book that somebody can pick up at any point during the year. We hope you buy it at the beginning, when it goes on sale, but you can pick it up any time of the year and learn something new, whether it's what to see in the night sky that month, when the sun is going to rise the next day, filled with great features, in things like gardening and farming. We've got great recipes in there. So it's got a little bit of everything. I like to think that the Almanac offers something for everybody.
So, Tim, I don't want you to share any proprietary information or give away any secrets, but how do you compile all this great information every year for the Almanac?
Yeah, I mean, so there's different stages for everything. When it comes to the forecast, we have a great partnership with some really knowledgeable people that help put these forecasts together. They're put together, starting, for the ones that are in the 2025 edition, they're starting, December 2023, January 2024. So they are really long range forecasts. When it comes to, again, with like the astronomical stuff, the sky watch, the visible planets, the eclipses, again, we have great partnerships with people we've been working with for a long time, astronomers that are really at the top of their fields, that help us compile a lot of this information and this data that has been a part of the Almanac since the very beginning. When it comes to the features, we sit down as a group, as an editorial team, and we bounce ideas off of each other. Everybody comes together with a list of potential stories that they'd like to see in there. From there it gets whittled down, and then, we've got a stable of writers that we've worked with for a long time that, depending on what it is, if it's in the subject of gardening or astronomy, that, we can go back to and pitch these ideas to. Sometimes, take for this year, we've got a story on avalanches, went to, somebody who is, an expert in that field. So sometimes it takes just going and searching and looking for somebody who could potentially have, not just the knowledge in the topic, but have the ability to write something about it as well. Myself as well, I like to write too. So, I have 3 stories in this Almanac that, a couple of them that were pitched to me, something that I pitched. So it's a lot goes into putting this, this yearly publication together.
So I think that's the big question on everybody's mind. What does the winter of 2024, 2025 look like at this point?
Yeah, it's really funny, because here it's bright and sunny out. We're trying not to think about winter, but we understand that, when the Almanac comes out, it's part of the history of the Almanac, that people want to talk about those long range forecasts and what the winter's going to be like, because we all want to prepare. We all want to know if it's going to be, when it's going to be cold, when there could be potential for precipitation. So, for you guys in that Tri-Cities region, we're looking at a warmer than normal winter on average. So when we're talking about these are long range forecasts, winter is from November to March, and we're comparing these. When we say it's going to be warmer, it's based off of what the averages say over a 30-year period from 1991 to 2020. That those averages are the data is put together by government meteorological, agencies, and we compare our forecast to that, and it will tell us if it's going to be warmer or colder. So that's not to say that there won't be some cold times. We're looking at the coldest times to be in that late November and again in late January. Precipitation will be above normal this year. Definitely looking for quite a bit of precipitation in January. Some in that middle of November, and then also mid-March.
Tim, can you talk to us about your relationship with farmers and with the ag community?
Yeah, when you think of the Almanac, when we started in 1792, we were not unique. There were almanacs everywhere because people couldn't travel far distances. So every little pocket had their almanacs. And it was used in a much different way then. People really used it as a tool when it came to gardening and farming. They used those, the gardening by the moon, those frost dates, those planting dates, to really know when they could plant and how they could be successful. Because at that point, you're planting food for your family. You're planting for your survival. So obviously, it's different now. There's a lot more information at your fingertips. But farming and gardening have been such a huge part of what has made the Almanac it is. If you look at what almanac.com and the traffic we get when it comes to gardening, the questions we get from readers and from viewers on almanac.com, they come to us as a trusted source when it comes to gardening and farming, which is why, in the Almanac every year, we try to have, great stories about gardening. We obviously have to take a new and unique look at things. We have a story in here about tomatoes, but, tomatoes have been written about, all over the place. So you've got to find a different way to convey those messages. And I like to think that we provide stories that give people information they didn't know they needed to know. We have these great farming profiles. Every year we choose 6 farms from, 3 from the U.S., 3 from Canada, and we tell their stories because farming is such an important part of, for everybody. Without farms, we don't have food, and we really need to shine the spotlight on these farms that are making such a difference. It's a hard job. It's long days, and the pay isn't always as great as we'd like it to be. But without farms, we'd be in a real tough situation. So, I think having that relationship with farming and with gardening is huge for not only for us, but for our readers, because it gives them that insight of why it is so important.
Tim, as you look at this edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac, what would you highlight in this year's edition? Whether that's something that happens year in, year out, or maybe it's a unique off-the-wall kind of article or something else, what exactly should readers really keep their eye on this go-around?
You're putting me on the spot having to pick just one. One thing I really like, and it's kind of stepping away from that historical look of what the Almanac was, is the trend section. I think the trend section is really interesting because, we touch upon those topics that, of farming and gardening, food, work, culture, pets, and it gives our readers an idea of what is currently happening in those industries. And we're getting this information from people who are in the know in those industries. So what's happening now, what things are being looked forward to in the future. So I think that gives people a really great idea of what they can expect when it comes to, like I said, food, farming, gardening, pets. It's a really unique section, and I think that it's something that draws a lot of people in.
Tim Goodwin with the Old Farmer's Almanac. Thanks so much for joining us right here on the PNW Ag Network.